Yo, what's going on, y'all? Mike here, Sports and the Real Shit. We're still over here counting down the best players who have worn jerseys number 30 through 1 in the NFL, in NFL history. Been having a good time. I hope you have too. Um, we're down to number 19. I'm going to tell you right now, it's getting kind of dicey. The numbers that people wore back in the day, the best quarterbacks weren't wearing some of these numbers. The best players weren't wearing some of these numbers. And now that the NFL has made some rule changes, things are switching up, but it wasn't always like that. So I'm going to give you a warning right now. We ain't going to have the best of the best in some of these numbers coming up. But we're going to do what it do anyway. So let's get into number 19. Let's see how it goes. So I didn't really want to do this. All right. But like I said, it ain't much out there. Okay. Number 19, for those who know Joe Montana, he played for San Francisco, but last couple years of his career, he played in Kansas City, okay? And in Kansas City, he won number 19, led them to a playoff appearance, okay? So Joe Montana, Joe Cool, whatever he was called, right? Super Bowl Joe, in KC played just 25 games, 93 and 94. Went to the Pro Bowl in 93. Threw for 5,427 yards with the Chiefs, 29 touchdowns, 16 picks for those 2 years. And that was it. So, one of the best players to have worn 19 in NFL history, Joe Montana, wore 19 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Fortunately for us, he wore a different number that we'll be able to get into as we go along in this countdown. But for now, number 19, Joe Montana, Kansas City Chiefs. But for real though, as we think about quarterbacks back in the day, right? Those of us who watched football in the 80s and 90s, Bernie Kosar was actually a pretty good quarterback. Now going back and looking at his stats, comparing them to today's stats and people, everybody throwing for 1,000,000 yards, it doesn't seem like he was good. But Bernie Kosar was actually a pretty good quarterback, and he wore number 19 for the Browns. Had some matchups with the Broncos and John Elway in the playoffs out of University of Miami. Like Bernie Kosar, for those who watch football in those days, Bernie Kosar was a name. He was a known name. And again, he was number 19 for the Cleveland Browns. Played 12 years, about 8.5 for the Browns. He went on to Dallas, won a Super Bowl as a backup in Dallas to Troy Aikman. Backed up Dan Marino in Miami. 23,000 total passing yards. Again, that doesn't seem like a lot when you compare it to today. 124 touchdowns, 87 picks. His best year was in 1987. 3,033 yards, 22 touchdowns, 9 picks. Pretty good. 14 career fourth quarter comeback, 16 game winning drives, one-time Pro Bowl, one-time Super Bowl champ, as I said, as a backup. Again, for those who didn't watch football back then, you'd be like, oh, this guy wasn't that good. Bernie Kosar was actually a pretty good quarterback. And was a leader of those Cleveland Browns teams. So shout out to Bernie Kosar, one of the best players to have worn 19 in NFL history. Outside of quarterbacks, that's really it, right, for number 19, as far as I've seen. Again, this is people I've seen play. But one of the very first receivers I remember seeing wear the weird numbers in the NFL, like not 80, was Keyshawn Johnson. And he was actually one of the first dudes who was like one of those big body receivers too, who's all in style now, right? Everybody now has a big body red zone receiver who can jump over you, run by you, combo. Like receiver, Keyshawn Johnson was one of the first I remember being of that one of those big dudes. I mean, he had all the hype coming out of USC, first draft, first round, first pick. Like he was all that at USC, just dominant cat. Now his NFL career didn't turn out to match that hype, even though he was still great in his own right. But Keyshawn, like I said, is one of the first ones who I remember with not only the number that didn't sit right at the time, but also the first big physical receiver. I remember Keyshawn, give me the damn ball and all that stuff. He played 11 years with the Jets, Tampa Bay, Dallas, and Carolina. He won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. 814 total receptions, 10,571 receiving yards, and 64 touchdowns. Not bad. His best year was in 01 when he had 106 receptions and 1,266 receiving yards, 4 1,000-yard seasons, 3-time Pro Bowler, and like I said, a 1-time Super Bowl champ. Keyshawn was like that. He was nice. He didn't play with the greatest of quarterbacks, so his career probably could have been better had he playing with some top-notch dogs. But he was still really, really good in his own right, and he helped teams win. I'm sure he wished he would have played with some better quarterbacks to put up some better numbers, but it is what it is. But Keyshawn, one of the nicest cats to wear number 19, and really one of the first I remember outside of the quarterback position to wear the number in the teens. That's all the rave now in this new age NFL numbering system. So shout out to Keyshawn to being one of the originals with big body and mismatched numbers for their position. And that's really pretty much it that I can remember as far as really, really good guys wearing number 19 in the past. There's current players, right, wearing number 19. So Amari Cooper was wearing number 19 when he was with Oakland. When he was with Dallas. In Oakland, he started off with 89. In Dallas, he wore number 19. He switched number 19. One of the best route runners in the league right now, really in history. Gets open whenever he really wants to. 595 receptions, 8,236 receiving yards, 55 touchdowns for his career, 4-time Pro Bowler, 6 1,000-yard seasons. His best was in 2019 when he had 79 receptions, 1,189 yards, and 8 touchdowns. In 2022, just last year, he had 78 receptions, 1,160 yards, and 9 touchdowns. So really, Amari is like that. When he was in Alabama, he was dominant. Came into the league immediately, 1,000-yard season. Like, when this cat wants to catch the ball, like, his routes are crispy. Like, he gets open. He knows how to shake people. Just really a throwback type of receiver, right? He's not really a blazer, just, speed running by you. He's more so, I'm going to do what I'm a technician, right? I'm going to do what I got to do to get open to create separation. So Amari, one of the best. Also, one of the best of the last few years is Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen didn't start off being a household name. Matter of fact, most people didn't know who he was until all of a sudden he jumped out on the screen like, damn, who's this dude? First 2 years, barely played any receiver at all, but in his career right now, he sits at 534 receptions, 6,682 yards total, 2-time Pro Bowler, 2 1,000-yard seasons. His best season was in 2018 when he went for 113 and 1,373 yards. Last couple of years, he's been overshadowed by Justin Jefferson in Minnesota, extreme talent, who we'll get to with number 18. But Thielen, nevertheless, one of the best number 19s in the league. And he's since moved on to the Carolina Panthers right now. But with Minnesota, he was like that. He knew how to get open. His routes were good. Like, he was just one of those guys who just knew how to get the ball and create separation. So shout out to Adam Thielen being one of the best number 19s in NFL history that I can remember. Juju Smith-Schuster also wore number 19 for a while. In Pittsburgh, he played there for a while, and then he moved on to Kansas City where he won a chip last year. 400 total career receptions, 4,700 yards, 29 TDs. Hey, man, Juju, we may make fun of him because he's TikTok boy now, TikTok dancing pregame and all that stuff. But he was like that, right? Of course, he played second fiddle to Antonio Brown. Ben Roethlisberger used to force feed Antonio Brown. But Juju used to get his. I ain't going to front. And he was definitely a threat. His best year was in 2018. He had 111 receptions and 1,426 yards and 7 touchdowns. One-time Pro Bowler. Again, he won the Super Bowl last year with the Chiefs. But Juju was like that. Now, people know him more as being famous for being TikTok boy and TikTok dancer. But one of the best 19s ever in the league. Really, who I think has a chance to become the very best 19 ever is Deebo, a.k.a. Tyshawn Raekwon Samuel. Now, Deebo is nice. Dual threat. He can catch. He's a threat as a runner. I mean, he's Yak God, if you ask me. In 4 years in San Francisco, Shanahan uses him all over the field. 223 receptions, 3,230 yards, along with 782 rushing yards and 14 touchdowns. Like, this cat is nice. And if he stays healthy, no doubt about it, he's going to end up being like the very best number 19, top of the top. His best year was in 21 where he had 77 receptions, 1,405 yards, 59 rushing yards, and 8 touchdowns. One-time All-Pro, one-time Pro Bowler. Really nice career so far. Again, stay healthy, and he's going to be up there. So shout out to Deebo for being one of the absolute best number 19s in NFL history so far, and really on pace to become the best number 19 in NFL history. All right, y'all. So that's it. Quick, short, easy. Like I said, these numbers again kind of weird, right? The best players, for whatever reason, weren't wearing number 19 back in the day. And as we go along, it's going to be kind of weird like that, but we'll make it through it, because as we know, we're counting down, and the best of the best is yet to come. But I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Appreciate y'all watching once again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Let your friends, your neighbors know all about what's going on over here at Sports and the Real. But I'm Mike. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.